Hey you guys, it is Dinah and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can be notified each and every time I upload. If you're an oldie but a goodie, hey, welcome back. So anywho, I'm just doing a quick little intro for this video of my emergency C-section story. And in the intro, I just want to touch base on what exactly preeclampsia is, because that is what I was diagnosed with when I was rushed to the ER, and that is the reason why I had my emergency C-section. What preeclampsia is, it is a potentially dangerous condition of pregnancy characterized by high blood pressure, and it usually begins after 20 weeks of pregnancy, and it can prove itself to be fatal in some cases, and it can be fatal to not just the mother but also to the baby. So obviously all praises and glory to God for me and my baby's recovery and development. With preeclampsia, you can have seizures or strokes, which is obviously why it can be fatal. And sadly, there are some people that don't take it seriously. Like, I literally was accused of being dramatic and theatrical about my health condition by someone who was supposed to be close to me. So obviously they disqualified themselves, because if you don't take people's conditions, like their health, seriously, just because I'm walking around, I'm talking and I'm smiling and I look fine and I seem fine, you don't know, because preeclampsia stays in your system for 6 weeks. So it has been 3 weeks, and so I have 3 more weeks, and then your girl is all good and clear. But also preeclampsia can come back. So once it's out of your system, like later down the line, like years later, or if you happen to get pregnant again, it can come back. So that is why my doctors were pushing for me to get on birth control before they discharged me at the hospital. But yes, if you see my previous video, the one that went up before this one is going to go up, I had a big bag of medicine. I have a lot of medication that I had to take for this, and I did not want another extra thing on top of all those pills. So when I have my 6-week checkup for the OB-GYN, that is when I will get back on my birth control, because I can't have any sex right now. So when I go to my checkup, I'm getting back on my birth control. And if I do decide to have sex again, because yeah, no, I'm not interested. But if I do decide to do it again, I will be covered. But yeah, so that is a brief little lesson on what exactly preeclampsia is. If you or anyone you know is pregnant, make sure you do your research, because I was researching a lot of stuff about getting ready for the baby and, you know, different stages of each week of pregnancy. But I totally disregarded the preeclampsia, because I knew about it, and I was even told by my doctor that it could potentially happen. But I'm like, I've never had high blood pressure, blah blah blah, it's not going to affect me. But preeclampsia can happen to people even when your blood pressure has always been normal, because you guys know I've always been healthy. Like, I don't really get sick. I'm legitimately blessed. And you should still do your research, and you should still take care of yourself and do preventative measures. So let's get into the story time. As you can see, I'm back with another video, and I am feeling well and in good spirits. I do apologize for the delay. I had already recorded my emergency C-section story. I actually recorded it when I was still in the hospital. I had just wanted to do an official intro. So when I was all better and I was at home, I recorded an intro. I actually recorded it last week. And I was about to edit everything, and then I had realized that I accidentally deleted the clip that I recorded when I was in the hospital. So here I am having to redo the actual story time. So this is what we're doing right now. This is what it is. But that's fine. That's okay. It's been about 3 weeks since I actually went to the emergency room. Basically what happened, it was a regular day and I felt fine for the most part. During my pregnancy, like the 5th and 6th month, I want to say, I did start having like mild migraines on certain days randomly, and I would have eye sensitivity, like my eyes would be very sensitive to like light. I was experiencing that like 5th and 6th month in my pregnancy. So that Monday, I had those little symptoms. My eyes were like sensitive during the day, whatever. So anywho, that night I go to sleep and I'm kind of fine. Then I wake up in the middle of the night and I just have like a migraine and a sharp pain in my neck, because that weekend before I had slept weird, so I had got a crook in my neck. So I thought it was just the crook in my neck intensified. I tried to ignore the pain, tried to keep going back to sleep and sleep it off, but it just got really intense, like in my neck and in my head. And the more I tried to ignore it and go to sleep, my stomach started to hurt, and I was like maybe I should go to the emergency room. But around this time it was like 2 in the morning, and obviously I live with my guy and he goes to work early in the morning, and I didn't want to like wake him up, so that's why I was like trying to be really quiet. One thing about me is I am the type of person that suffers in silence. I don't like to make a big deal out of things. I don't like to include a lot of people in my personal business and what I'm going through. I like to deal with things on my own. So I was praying that night because, like I said, I didn't really want to have to go to the hospital. So I was praying, asking for, relief, deliverance, healing. And my prayers were not being answered in the way I would have liked it, at the speed I would have liked it. So I was like, let me try to like call my mom or sister and see what they think, because obviously I'm pregnant. So I know you're supposed to go to the hospital or see your doctor if like stuff like that is happening, because it could be something serious. So my sister was pretty much telling me I should go, try to see how I feel, but if nothing changes, definitely go to the hospital. I pretty much took her advice. After a while, I ended up having to go to the hospital, and so my guy ended up waking up because he knows when I'm like getting out of the bed and stuff. So, because I kept getting in and out of the bed. Like I said, I was trying to just go to sleep. I was trying to ignore it, and I was just like crying quietly and everything. And he's like, "What's wrong? Are you okay? Blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, I think I need to go to the emergency room. So I got to the emergency room. In the car ride over there, I actually threw up. I threw up in the car ride over there. So I was admitted, told them I was 6 months pregnant and my symptoms, the migraine, neck pain, blah, blah, blah. Once I actually get in a room, in an emergency room, I get in a room, it was so many nurses, and I don't want to say doctors, but it was like so many nurses. I think maybe one or two official doctors. When I actually got there, they were not addressing like immediate pain issue, whatever. And I'm like, what is taking so long? Like, they're asking me all these questions. I had to change it to the gown, and things were just getting really intense and serious really fast. But they weren't like relieving my pain. They kept asking me about like my blood pressure. They told me I had high blood pressure, because after a while, like, I was in so much pain. I'm like, why aren't they doing anything about my migraine and my neck pain? And so I asked one of the nurses, I was like, what's wrong with me? What's going on? and they're like, your blood pressure is like really high. And in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, that's fine. I'm like, that's fine, that's okay. Can you give me something for this migraine? And my neck is like, I felt like I was dying, you guys. And I'm like, why won't they fix me? And so, anywho, since I was pregnant and I had very high blood pressure, like really, really high when I was admitted, they kept checking on the baby. They was checking on me and they were checking on the baby. They wanted to check the baby's heart rate and heartbeat and all that stuff and make sure it wasn't like dropping. Because they said I was at risk, like with my blood pressure being that high, it was very dangerous to me and the baby, and they didn't want either one of us to, lose our life. So they said if the baby's heart rate drops like continuously, they're gonna have to perform an emergency C-section and get her up out of there. And I'm like, oh man. But I'm just thinking they just telling me information. So they kept bringing it up and saying if they have to do that, then I gotta sign the paperwork and all that stuff. So they were telling me all the possibilities of the C-section, what could happen, potential for like blood loss, potential for like transfusions. You would need transfusions and all types of other stuff. And I'm just listening. I'm like, yeah, okay. But I'm not really like taking it in consideration that we're really going to have to do that. So eventually, and I'm like on the phone with my mom and my guy, like updating them, letting them know what's going on, because I had called my mom to come visit me and just for some support while I was in there, because I told her what had happened. So she came, but she had my niece with her, and so she couldn't actually come upstairs because they didn't allow kids to visit in the emergency room. But anywho, so my mom was there, and my guy, I was updating him on the phone also. So he was still at home. And I just felt bad because I was like, I don't want to be like waking him up and he got to go to work. But he was already woke. And he was already concerned when I was on my way to the hospital. I guess the blood pressure was too high and the baby's heart must have been dropping or whatever. Because they was like, we got to do this now. We got to do this now. Emergency C-section. And the reason I'm doing this is because, you guys, I was literally in there. I started crying because I was overwhelmed. I was in so much pain, and they were not treating my pain. And then I had 5 to 7 different nurses coming in my face. And then I had a doctor and then some other person telling me about the C-section. I had all these different faces coming at me you don't understand. It was all these people like this, all around me. And I'm like, whoa. 6 feet, no pressure. Let me get some space. But I had all those people in my face, and everybody's talking and everybody's doing stuff, and they talking about C-sections, and I had started crying. And so finally they're like, we need you to sign this if this is what you want to do. They didn't make me do anything. They were saying if this is what you want to do, we need you to sign this paperwork. This permission. And so I was really, I don't want to say stressed, but I just felt pressed. I was really once again overwhelmed, because I'm like, oh my goodness, they're saying this. I did not want to do the C-section. Originally, when I was joking, when I found out I was pregnant, I was I want to do a C-section so I could keep my body right and tight, so I could stay looking good, that's what I was joking early in the pregnancy. But realistically, I just wanted to have the regular vaginal birth, because when you have a C-section for the first time, for your first pregnancy, then any other pregnancies you have to keep getting a C-section. And of course, I didn't plan on having any more kids. I was this just one and that's it. But still, you never know. If you fall in love and get married, and that man wants some more children, if you love him, you're gonna pop out some more babies. So I just did not want to do that right then and there. So I was like calling my mama, and I'm like crying. I'm like, oh, they said I gotta do it, but I don't want to do it. And I'm looking back, like I don't really know what the big deal was, why I didn't want to do it. I don't know. I think, oh, I know why. Because I never had a surgery before. So I didn't know how anesthesia was gonna react with me and my body. I've never had surgery for anything. Like, I've always been healthy, and so I was kind of a little scared, I guess. Like, I don't know. And I'm just like, I don't want to do it. Like, on the phone with my mama, and she ain't really like making no decision for me. And I'm like on the phone with, and I'm telling them, I'm like, I gotta talk to him. I want to just wait till oops, did I say his name? I'm on the phone with my guy. He ain't made no decision for me either. Like, both of them, they just like leaving it up to me. Like, I was expecting for them to tell me what to do, and like neither of them was telling me what I should do in that situation. So with all the pressure, I was just like, okay, fine, whatever. I just signed the paperwork because like they're telling me like, we can't wait for your guy to get here, because I'm like, oh, he'll be here in 15 minutes. And I'm like, we probably can't wait that long. Life or death type of situation. So I'm just like, fine, just do it. Do what you gotta do. I signed all the papers and everything. And they're like, okay. And like, they just started prepping everything and prepping me for surgery. And I'm just like, there's just so much going on. So they put a catheter in me, and one of the nurses like shaved me right here. Just a little bit. And I wasn't crazy hairy, but I was a little hairier than my arms. You can't really see because I shaved my arms too. So yeah, so I got shaved a little bit because obviously for the C-section to cut me, they inserted the catheter. I was so scared. I was like, oh no, not the catheter, the infamous catheter, because that was one of the concerns. Like, if I were to have the vaginal birth, they would have inserted that also. And people always say it hurts. It pinched a little bit, but it was literally like 2 seconds of pain, and it wasn't even like intense pain. So finally they started giving me my drugs, y'all. I had to have the C-section for them to give me my drugs, because this whole time up to this whole point, my neck was still hurting. I still had that migraine. Yeah, that's why I was crying too. So anyways, so they finally gave me my drugs. So they gave me magnesium. Oh my goodness. I was in there feeling so good. I was like, yes, this is all right. Everything is all right. So I had magnesium, and my migraine was going away. My neck pain, everything felt warm and good, you guys. I was like, yes. Felt a little sleepy. That's all right. It was like 3-something in the morning. Let's go to sleep. Yeah, my mom was still in the hospital because she left at one point, obviously, because she couldn't come upstairs with my niece. So, but she was still there at that point, I think. So yeah, so I think she had left and then came back while I was transported to the OR. And at that point, I had nothing on. I was nothing on but the rope. So I was completely naked, you guys. So I get to the OR. More people again, you guys. More people again. So it was all of these nurses and then anesthesiologists and the surgeons. Everyone. So many different people, you guys. Again, I don't like all of that. It's overwhelming. But I had that magnesium in me. I was feeling good. I'm trying to recall everything like in actual order that it happened. So if I pause, forgive me, because it's a lot of details. But I want to make sure they're in the right order. So yeah, so I'm in the OR and I'm chilling, laying down. They asked me, I think they asked me how I won't like the anesthesia or something. Whatever I keep saying anesthesia, epidural. So they put it in my spinal cord. They put the epidural in my spinal cord. And then that made me feel like 2. So I had the magnesium and the epidural, and I was like this. I was like, yeah, like everything was, it wasn't so overwhelming anymore. I was just like, let's make it happen. Like, I will allow this to happen, you know? And so they had a little blue tint up for my waist down. And they did the test on my skin, like my upper skin, to see if I could feel sharpness. And at first, it was a male nurse or whoever he was who was doing the sharpness test. And he was like, okay, let me know if you can feel this, okay? And so I wasn't really like he told me, but I wasn't really like actually expecting to feel it. So I was a little caught off guard, even though he already told me like he was gonna poke me. And so he had like this wood, like actual like little piece of wood, and was poking parts of my skin. And I felt it, and then I was like, hey, stop. Something like that. Like I told him to stop. It was funny. And then I was like, oh, I mean, yeah, that's sharp. And so we waited a little bit for that to kick in, and they just kept doing whatever they were doing. And my guy comes eventually, because I told him that I was going ahead with the surgery. So he comes and he's in there, and at that point I was like laying down, and I think they already started cutting me. I was just laying down. I wasn't 100% asleep, but I had my eyes closed and I was just laying down chilling. I could hear everything. I was totally like aware of what was going on, but I did feel very tired, and I was relaxing and letting them do what they were doing, but a million thoughts were racing through my head. I was just having like conversations with myself in my head while I was like chilling. And so they're cutting me, and my guy's right there, and he's like asking them questions. I had told them when I got admitted, I had told them that I threw up on my way to the hospital. So while I was getting the surgery, they had a little tray just in case I did have to vomit again. So during the surgery, I did throw up. I threw up in that little thing, and I was embarrassed. I wasn't embarrassed because of the doctors, because they're doctors. You're supposed to be mature. Like, you guys see everything. You already know. Y'all know all about how gross us humans can get. But I was embarrassed because I didn't want my guy to see me throw up. I didn't want him to see me like that. Like, I never want him to see me like sick, unhealthy, unable, handicapped, and none of that, you know? Like, I just always want to be clean and beautiful around him all the time. And so anyways, but he's mature. Like, he don't be caring. But I care. So anywho, fast forwarding, they cut me open, take the baby out, and that's when we found out we had a girl. Up until that point, when I would go to my ultrasound appointments, the technician could never see the genitals of the baby. So we never knew what we was having. He took pictures. They let him take pictures of her and let him see her. They let me see her when they were transporting her to the ICU for newborns. But the reason I said see her is because she was in the little like baby incubator with blankets. So I couldn't see her. I was laying down still. I was still on the table laying down because they had to stitch me back up. They had to close me back up. So they stitched up my uterus. And then they used skin glue for my incision. So for my actual C-section cut, they used the skin glue to close my skin back together. Oh my goodness. So then I got transported to a different room, and they gave me some pills. I think they drew some blood. I threw up again. I was drinking water, lots and lots of water. I was like really thirsty, so I was drinking lots of water, And then I had my guy give me like a green tea from the Panera bread that they had at the hospital. One thing I will say about the hospital I went to, because the hospital I went to for the emergency room is not the hospital I was supposed to go to have my actual baby. I just went to a nearby emergency room. That was actually a blessing in disguise. So this whole ordeal was actually a blessing in disguise. Yes, my baby had to be born early, but it worked out because that hospital is really amazing. Like, their staff is incredible. They're very knowledgeable and attentive and very hands-on. Like, I literally felt so spoiled. I felt like I got the real treatment when I was there. They like ask you, do you have any questions? Like, they're always asking you, do you have any questions? They like anything I wanted, they were getting it. Like, they had no problem doing things for me. Like, they wanted to help. They wanted to be accommodating. Like, I didn't feel unwelcomed or out of place, because you know some hospitals, they could be rude. It was really, really good. I'm glad that we actually ended up going there, and I do plan on like sticking with that hospital because I didn't know it's like a real gem. So I do plan on sticking with that hospital moving forward in the future for whatever we need. But anywho, so I went to this other room that was not going to be the room I was going to stay in. It was just like, I guess, a quick recovery room until I was transported to my real room. So my guy was in there. I took a pill, I threw it up. And since I threw up, I couldn't stop to the ICU for newborns to see the baby because they wanted to take me there on my way to my next room. But since I threw up, they're like, oh, we can't have you, you know, getting the baby sick. But they transported me to the next room that I was going to stay in for the next 6 days. All of this is early Tuesday morning. So everything I'm telling you, from the neck pain to the actual C-section, is early Tuesday morning between 2 and 7 a.m. Okay, so because they took the baby out and all that stuff around 6 a.m. Get to the new room. I still have the catheter in me. The doctors informed me that I was diagnosed with preeclampsia. So as I already stated in my intro, I already explained what preeclampsia is. And that's why everything was so drastic. Like, why the nurses and the doctor were so like, we got to do this right now, because it was life-threatening. Like, even though I didn't feel like it, but it was a possibility that could have happened. I don't even have allergies. Like, I'm a very healthy woman. I never had high blood pressure or anything. So it doesn't matter if you yourself does not have a history of high blood pressure. Once you get pregnant, during pregnancy, it can come upon you. So that's something to look out for. I was trying to think, like, was I doing anything crazy that day? But during my pregnancy, the second trimester, I was feeling very anxious, you know, because I wasn't working. I was like mainly in the house a lot because I don't like to go out when it's cold. You guys know, I've been telling you guys this. Like, I was like having cabin fever, so I was like really anxious to get back out, get back working. I was just ready for the pregnancy to be over. So that's also why I said it worked out, because now I am able to get back to work and it's warming up outside, so I get to go out and stuff. That's pretty much that. When I got to my room that I was going to be recovering in for the next 6 days, I was spending time with my guy and we were talking, and for the first 48 hours, I was being poked and prodded with needles. I had so much blood work done on me, and they inserted IVs, and I personally have tiny veins. I have baby veins. The nurses, they call me a hard stick. So it was really hard for some of the nurses to find my veins, and so I had lots of bruises on my arms. Like, I still have Like, I was really embarrassed when I left the hospital because I wear jackets because I didn't want my arms showing. I didn't want people to think I was like a drug addict. Like, look, I'm gonna show you. So this is still from the IV. You can't really see it. And then like the bruises are fairly gone actually. And this is from the other IV. And they even like had to get blood from my hands because it was so hard to get them from my actual like veins and stuff. But yeah, so the ones on my arms are gone, but these are still here, the ones from the IV, and they're also still a little tender. And like I said, it's been 3 weeks later. The first day, like, I did not realize how serious the recovery was. And also with preeclampsia, you do get swelling. So I had swelling in my face, hands, thighs, feet, legs. I had swelling for about a week. They ended up giving me like a pill for the swelling. So thank goodness that worked and it went down. And I was in the hospital for 6 days before I got discharged. So when I got home, I want to say like maybe 2 days after I got home, the swelling went away. So thank goodness, because my feet were swollen. I couldn't even fit my shoes. Like when I got home and I went to go run errands, I could not fit my shoes, you guys. Yeah, so a lot of blood work. I didn't really get too much sleep because they were coming to check on me every 2 hours or so to check my blood pressure, check my heart rate. So the whole time I was there, they were trying to get my blood pressure low. And they were trying to find the right type of pills and medication because it's hard for me to swallow pills. So I couldn't take certain medication. I had to take ones where I could they were small or I could crush up. So they had me on magnesium for the first 48 hours and I really enjoyed that. I was like, yes, give me that magnesium. And they always kept asking me about my pain level and I kept thinking, what pain? But once they stopped the magnesium and it wore off, I could feel my incision, the cut that was sore. So they gave me Tylenol and ibuprofen for that. Yeah, so it took some time to recover. At first, it was hard standing up on my own. So I think after the first day, after 24 hours, they took the catheter out. So that was good. Once the catheter was out, that means I could start walking around or even take a shower and stuff. But it was hard for me to stand up. Like the nurse had to help me stand up. But then the next day after that, I could stand up on my own and stuff. It was hard to pull myself up. Like I was laying down a lot. And the cut is in my lower abdomen. And that's usually where you have the source of your I don't know, your lower abdomen. That's how you control getting up and stuff. I don't know. And so it was hard for me to pick myself up out of bed, to get up like that. Eventually, of course, I gained my strength. Once I got home, maybe about a week, I got stronger. I was able to do more on my own. Once I got home, it was hard for me to bend over. It was hard for me to do a lot of stuff. I would have to, if I wanted to pick something off the floor, I would have to squat and lower myself down to grab it. It was hard, but I could go to the bathroom by myself and shower and stuff. I could still do my hygiene routine and stuff, but it was just harder and slower. Oh yeah, I had to wear, and I still have to, I had to wear, they gave me these hospital panties that they're high-waisted and they're mesh, and these maxi pads, because since they stitched up my uterus, there was some spotting. So I still have to wear maxi pads, and I have to wear loose fitting high-waisted cotton panties, aka granny panties. The recovery process is 6 weeks to fully recover from preeclampsia. The C-section, that could take 6 weeks to 3 months. So the cut doesn't hurt anymore. I could freely move around. I could walk. I think I could start exercising. Not like intense workouts. I'm talking about like yoga and stuff, because now I could walk and stuff and not be out of breath. Because at first when I started walking or going up some stairs, I would be out of breath. Like an out of shape person. At first I didn't want my guy to see me for the first 48 to 72 hours because, like I said, I just didn't want him to see me unable to do for myself, really, like unable to like pick myself up and, you know, move around freely. Once I started feeling better, like once I was able to walk around and stuff and take showers, then I was like, yeah, you could come see me. And the doctors kept telling me I looked good. Like they kept saying like, you don't look like you just had a baby. The nurses, they kept saying like my face, because they had to check for swelling and stuff and my cut and make sure everything was all right. So they were saying like appearance wise I looked good, and you guys saw me in the video or whatever. So that's pretty much it. So that's my emergency C-section story and brief recovery. It's been 3 weeks. I feel good. My baby's doing great. She's developing well. Today she weighed 2 pounds and an ounce. Yesterday she weighed 2 pounds and 2 ounces. So she lost an ounce, but that's okay because the weight is gonna fluctuate. When she was born, she was 1 pound and 4 ounces. So that's good because, like I said, it's been 3 weeks and she's gained 1 pound. So that's really, really good. She's 29 weeks and 3 days. No, she's 29 weeks and 4 days today. So she's almost 30 weeks. So just 10 more weeks and then baby girl can come out. But yeah, so her dad and I see her frequently. I try to go every day, but obviously that's not realistic. But I go the majority of the time I'm at the hospital, you know. They have this new roof shirt where you could hold your baby in. I got to hold her today and yesterday for the first time. Yesterday was the first time I got to hold her. And I was just so happy. Like, I just love her so much. And I knew I was going to love her, but like, having her, I just be so sad every day that I don't get to be with her. Like, I just have her pictured, you know, on my phone, in the bedroom, in the living room. So when I see her face, I'm just like, I'm so sorry, I miss you, I love you. But that, yeah, we're getting better every day, getting stronger, and we're doing fine. Like, we're blessed and highly favored by the one true living God. You know, Jehovah Rapha, our healer. He's been taking care of us, and he's going to continue to take care of us. And that's just what it is, you guys. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, don't be shy. Like, leave them down below. And I guess that's it for now. Until the next video. Let's continue to grow and prosper together, you guys. Mwah.